They said Christmas was cancelled, too broke for a big gathering. I ate leftovers alone. That night, my sister went live, a full party, champagne, even a DJ. Everyone was there. Except me. I stayed quiet. Until Dad texted, "Can you send the $3,100 for rent?" I replied, "Lose my number. I don't fund liars." Then blocked him and shut down every transfer. By 7:43 a.m., 53 missed calls and 1 voicemail, "Please call us." The stale, lukewarm taste of leftover turkey and mashed potatoes was a sad symphony on my tongue, a culinary representation of my Christmas spirit. I sat alone in my small apartment, the silence punctuated only by the hum of the refrigerator and the distant wail of a siren. Just a week ago, my mom had called, her voice thick with a sorrow that I now questioned. "Honey, we have to cancel Christmas this year," she'd said, her words laced with a convincing performance of regret. "Things are just too tight. We're too broke for a big gathering." I'd bought it, hook, line, and sinker. I'd offered to help, to bring all the food, to host at my place, but she gently refused, insisting it was better to just lay low this year. So, I did. I spent Christmas Day watching old movies, a lump of disappointment lodged in my throat. That night, scrolling through my phone in a bout of festive season-induced insomnia, my sister's face popped up on my screen, a notification I usually ignored. She was live. My thumb hovered, then pressed down. The screen filled with a scene of raucous joy. A full-blown party, with glittering decorations, a mountain of presents, and the unmistakable glint of champagne glasses. There was even a DJ in the corner, a guy I vaguely recognized from a club downtown, spinning tracks that made the floor vibrate. And everyone was there. My mom, my dad, my aunts, uncles, cousins, all the people who were supposedly too broke for a celebration. Everyone except me. I watched, my heart a leaden weight in my chest, as my sister panned the camera across the laughing faces, her own smile a beacon of oblivious happiness. I didn't comment. I didn't react. I just watched until the screen went black, then I shut my phone off and stared at the ceiling, the silence of my apartment now a deafening roar. I stayed quiet for days, a storm of hurt and anger brewing inside me. I replayed my mother's words, my sister's laughter, the joyful faces of my family, a collage of betrayal that I couldn't erase from my mind. Then, this morning, a text from my dad. "Can you send the $3,100 for rent? It's due tomorrow." The audacity of it, the sheer, unadulterated gall, was a lit match to my carefully contained fury. My fingers flew across the screen, the words a torrent of my pent-up pain. "Lose my number. I don't fund liars." I blocked him. Then my mom. Then my sister. I went into my banking app and shut down every transfer, every automatic payment I had set up for them, the digital equivalent of slamming a door in their faces. By 7:43 a.m., my phone was a cacophony of notifications. 53 missed calls, a string of frantic texts from numbers I didn't recognize, and 1 voicemail. My sister's voice, stripped of its usual cheer, now laced with a desperate plea. "Please, call us." But I wouldn't. Not now. Not ever. The silence that followed was a balm to my wounded soul, a quiet promise of a future free from their lies. The next few days were a blur of radio silence. I half expected a knock on my door, a tearful confrontation, but there was nothing. Just the lingering echo of my sister's desperate voicemail and the bitter taste of my solitary Christmas dinner. I threw myself into my work, the long hours a welcome distraction from the gnawing emptiness in my chest. I was a freelance graphic designer, a job that allowed me the freedom to work from anywhere, a freedom I now cherished more than ever. My clients were a lifeline, their projects a world away from the drama of my family. One afternoon, while working on a logo for a new startup, an email popped up in my inbox. The sender's name was unfamiliar, but the subject line made my blood run cold, "A message from your father." My first instinct was to delete it, to send it to the digital abyss where I'd banished the rest of my family. But curiosity, a stubborn, insistent whisper, got the better of me. I opened it. The email was long, a rambling, disjointed narrative of regret and desperation. My father, a man I'd always known as proud and stoic, was now a portrait of a broken man. He wrote of a business deal gone wrong, a mountain of debt, and the shame that had kept him from telling me the truth. The Christmas party, he explained, was a last-ditch effort to keep up appearances, to project an image of success they no longer possessed. The DJ, the champagne, the presents, all of it was a carefully constructed illusion, a final, desperate act of denial. He ended the email with a plea, not for money, but for forgiveness. He asked me to meet him, to give him a chance to explain, to look him in the eye and see the truth of his words. I sat there for a long time, the cursor blinking on the screen, my heart a battlefield of conflicting emotions. The anger was still there, a simmering ember, but it was now mingled with a flicker of something else, something I couldn't quite name. Pity? Compassion? Or maybe just the stubborn, unyielding pull of family. I agreed to meet him. We met at a small, quiet coffee shop, a neutral ground where the ghosts of Christmases past couldn't haunt us. He looked older, his face etched with lines of worry I'd never noticed before. He told me everything, the words tumbling out in a torrent of confession. The failed business, the predatory loans, the threats from creditors, it was a story of a man who had flown too close to the sun and had his wings scorched. He'd wanted to protect me, to shield me from the ugliness of their financial ruin, but in doing so, he'd pushed me away, leaving me to feel like an outcast, a stranger in my own family. As he spoke, I saw not a liar, but a father, a flawed, desperate man who had made a terrible mistake. The anger in my heart began to recede, replaced by a wave of sadness, a deep, aching sorrow for the years of pretense, for the wall of lies that had separated us. I didn't forgive him, not completely, not yet. But I listened. And for the first time in a long time, I saw a glimmer of hope, a chance to rebuild the trust that had been shattered. The road to reconciliation was long and fraught with challenges. There were tearful conversations, awkward silences, and moments when the old anger flared up, hot and fierce. But we kept talking, we kept trying, and slowly, painstakingly, we began to mend the broken pieces of our family. I learned that my sister, the one whose carefree laughter had been a dagger in my heart, had been carrying her own burden of guilt. She'd known about the financial problems, had been a reluctant participant in the charade, her cheerful demeanor a mask for her own fear and anxiety. We talked for hours, our conversation a mix of tears and laughter, of accusations and apologies. We were two sisters, once inseparable, now strangers, trying to find our way back to each other. The following Christmas was different. There was no grand party, no champagne, no DJ. Just the five of us, my parents, my sister, and me, gathered around a small, sparsely decorated tree in my apartment. We ate a simple meal, a potluck of our favorite dishes, the air filled not with forced gaiety, but with a quiet, tentative hope. It wasn't a fairy tale ending, there was no magical resolution that erased the pain of the past. But it was a start. A new beginning, built not on a foundation of lies, but on the fragile, yet resilient, bonds of family. As we sat there, sharing stories and laughter, I looked at the faces of my family, no longer a gallery of liars, but a collection of flawed, imperfect people, bound together by a love that was stronger than any lie. And for the first time in a long time, I felt like I was home. The journey of rebuilding our family was a slow and arduous one, a delicate dance of forgiveness and rebuilding trust. There were days when the old wounds would reopen, when a careless word or a thoughtless action would trigger a cascade of painful memories. But we persevered, driven by a shared desire to heal, to reclaim the love that had been lost in a web of deceit. My father, humbled and contrite, took on a second job, his pride replaced by a quiet determination to right his wrongs. My mother, her face etched with a newfound honesty, became a pillar of support, her quiet strength a beacon in the storm. And my sister, my partner in this journey of rediscovery, became my confidant, our bond forged anew in the crucible of shared vulnerability. We learned to communicate, to speak our truths, no matter how difficult, to listen with open hearts and minds. We created new traditions, simple, heartfelt rituals that celebrated our love and our resilience. We had weekly family dinners, game nights, and long walks in the park, our conversations a tapestry of shared memories and future dreams. The following Christmas, we decided to do something different. We volunteered at a local homeless shelter, serving meals to those who had been forgotten, those who, like us, had known the sting of loneliness and despair. As we worked side by side, a sense of gratitude washed over me, a profound appreciation for the second chance we had been given. I looked at my family, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of the shelter's lights, and I saw not just a family, but a team, a group of individuals who had weathered the storm and emerged stronger, more compassionate, and more united than ever before. The path ahead was still uncertain, the future a landscape of both promise and peril. But as I stood there, surrounded by the warmth of my family's love, I knew that we would face it together, our hearts open, our spirits resilient, and our love, a guiding star in the darkest of nights. The experience had changed me, had chiseled away at the naive, trusting person I once was, and had replaced her with a woman who was more discerning, more cautious, but also more compassionate. I had learned that forgiveness was not a sign of weakness, but a testament to the enduring power of love. I had learned that trust, once broken, could be rebuilt, not through grand gestures, but through the quiet, consistent acts of honesty and integrity. And I had learned that family, in all its messy, complicated glory, was a gift, a precious, fragile thing that needed to be nurtured, protected, and cherished. As the years went by, the memory of that lonely Christmas faded, replaced by a tapestry of new memories, of shared laughter, of quiet moments of connection, of a love that had been tested and had emerged, not unscathed, but stronger, deeper, and more profound than ever before. And in the end, that was all that mattered.